So do you ever find yourself having thoughts or thought patterns that you just can't break and they seem to be controlling yourself? Well, today we're going to talk about some tips, some techniques that you can use to break that pattern. Okay, so we're going to talk about those thought patterns that seem to get in the way of what we would rather think about. So let's talk first about thoughts and where thoughts come from and what thoughts mean. So we know that 90% of the time that we're awake, we're on autopilot, which means it's the subconscious part of our brain that's doing our living. The subconscious part of our brain is what keeps our body functioning, keeps our organs working, but it's also those things that we learn how to do, and we've done them so many times, we don't consciously need to think about how to do them anymore. So it goes into the subconscious. And so all we need to do is have a conscious thought of, oh, I need to brush my teeth, and then boom, I can go on autopilot because I know how to take the lid off the toothpaste and put it on my toothbrush, and I know how to brush my teeth without even thinking, okay, do I start on the top or the bottom or the right or the left? I'm just doing it. And my mind now can be thinking about other things. So I'm going through the motions, but my mind may be somewhere else. So think about that. If 90% of the time we're on autopilot, that means 90% of our thoughts are coming from where? Well, they're coming from the subconscious. Now here's the challenge that we have in trying to become aware of and changing those thoughts. First of all, we may not even be aware of the thoughts that we're having. You know, has anyone ever asked you and said, so what are you thinking? And you're like, I don't know, because I wasn't even aware of what I was thinking. My mind was going in, there were thoughts going in my head, but I certainly wasn't directing those thoughts. They were being directed by something else. And so most of our thoughts come from our conditioning or learned thinking and learned behavior. So throughout our life, we have different experiences and we have thoughts about those experiences. Those thoughts turn into beliefs, which are kind of groups of thoughts. And again, most of that happens without us being consciously aware of it. That's why we don't really even understand or recognize that many of our beliefs are just that they're beliefs. We think that our beliefs are true and that our beliefs are reality, and we never even question them. We just think that's the way life is. So in order to stop a negative thought process, you have to think, now why would I want to do it? Why would I want to stop my thoughts? So if you ever find yourself where you're perseverating about something that you don't want to think about. So maybe it's something that it's in the future and you're afraid of what may happen, or it's something that happened in the past and you just can't get it out of your mind, and it's creating emotions that you don't want to feel. And oftentimes it's the emotion that can be the trigger or the cue to us that something is going on with our thoughts. So we're not aware of our thoughts, but I feel anxious or I feel angry. Now I can go to, okay, well, what are my thoughts that's creating this emotion? So the first step is recognizing that my thoughts are doing what they're doing, and then making a decision that I want to break that pattern. Here's the thing that we know. Consciously, we can't think of more than one thing at a time. So we can flip back and forth real quick, but we can only consciously think on one thought at a time. So in order to break that pattern, I just need to choose to think about something different. And so I'm going to give you a couple of techniques that you can use that can help break that pattern. The first one is deep breathing. And so I recognize that my thoughts are just going crazy, going around and around. I decide I want to stop that. So I'm going to just focus on my breathing. And so I'm going to take a deep breath in and then a long, slow breath out. And you can just, in your mind, focus on, you can close your eyes and just breathe in and breathe out. And as you do that, every time you breathe out, you just release and let go. But your focus is on the breathing. I just want to stay focused on in and out. A modification to that you could do is if you have a watch or you're somewhere where there's a clock with a second hand, you can look at that and say, okay, I'm going to breathe in for 3 seconds and out for 5 seconds. In for 3, out for 5, or in for 5 and out for 7, or whatever it is that fits for you, but put that 2-second difference between that. Another technique is counting backwards. And I recommend that you start at 100, and instead of counting backwards by 1, so 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 90, it's almost like I can do that on autopilot. So I could still have those other thoughts close by or going in my head. But if you counted backwards by 7s, well, that takes a little bit more focus on, okay, so 100, 93, 86, 79. So it's going to do a better job of breaking that pattern. Another technique to use is imagery. And with imagery, what it is you, in your mind, create an image of either a place that you've been, or you can create your own image of a peaceful place, a happy place, a calm place, where you can imagine the sights and the sounds and the smells, and you go there in your head. And then there's one more, which is progressive muscle relaxation. And with that, you start with your feet and you tense the muscles in your feet and you hold it tight for 10 seconds and then release. And then you go to your calves and tense those muscles for 10 seconds and then release. And then your thighs, and then your stomach, your hands, your arms and shoulders, and then your face. And then you do your whole body at once. But so you progressively go from one part of your body through your whole body and then your entire body. So how do these techniques work? Well, it's what we talked about earlier. It just breaks that pattern. So I'm making a decision to focus on something else rather than the thing that I can't break myself away from. Once I've used that technique to get back in my conscious mind, and as I'm doing some of these techniques, then my body will also relax if it's been, getting in an excited state, which will help me stay calm as well. Once I'm in a conscious state, I can now think through that and say, okay, why were those thoughts stuck in my head? What is the belief about that? Can I change my belief? And if I am able to change the belief, then maybe I can let that go because it no longer concerns or worries me. Or I can consciously choose, continue to think about something else instead. So maybe I get excited about my goals, or I get excited about something else that I'm doing in the future, or I just stay focused on what I'm doing right now in the present. Practice these. Next time you find yourself either having thoughts that are creating an emotion in you that you don't want to experience, or if you've got thoughts just going around and around and around and you can't seem to get rid of them, try some of these techniques, find out which one works best for you, and then continue to practice it. And what will happen is, if you do that often enough, then whenever you get in that place where you use the technique, it will almost come automatically. So as soon as I find myself starting to get anxious, I'll go to deep breathing, because the anxiety is a trigger to me to start deep breathing. So practice these techniques, see if they work for you, and use them to improve your life. Thanks for watching today. Be sure and subscribe to our channel. Visit our website at principlebasedliving.com. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, be sure and follow me here.